Good morning, sixth graders. We're back. We're back. It is Monday, the beginning of the end. Yes, we have 6 more weeks together. It's going to be amazing. We're going to do this thing. And we're going to start by doing really just one piece of what we would have done if we were doing, if you guys were going to do the Econobunk project. So I'm not really sure what your 6th grade teachers are going to do about that, but I want to make sure that you know how to write a check because that is part of what we usually do in 6th grade. So today I'm going to ask you to find an adult sometime today before you go to bed to show you how to write a check. I'm going to give a brief lesson, but I think that asking your adults to see some of the bills that they pay, maybe an oil bill or an electric bill, phone bill, see what they look like when they arrive in the mail, and see what their checkbooks look like, and how they write a check, because every adult does some things a little bit differently. Some people write 0 cents differently, like it doesn't. So there are different ways. My mother taught me how to write a check. It'd be great if your parents or guardians or grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever could teach you to write a check. Okay, I'm going to give a brief lesson about it today. So, there will be 3 blank checks, maybe a couple more actually, to write. So choose any entity or person and choose a dollar amount and write some checks today, and then check them in with your whoever is teaching you to write checks. Ask them to check to make sure that you wrote them correctly. Okay, but let's take a look at what is on a blank check. So the first thing that you'll see on a blank check is whoever has the checking account. You'll see their name and their address and generally their phone number. My phone number appears on mine. Perhaps now some people's email addresses. So full contact information appears on your check. Okay. Also at the top you have the date. I usually write out the full date. So today I would write April 27th, 2020. I'd write those words out. Rather than writing it with numbers. But some people do it with numbers and it's no big deal. The date says when the check was written, and then generally there's a message on the back of a check that says that you must deposit this check within 90 or 180 days of that date. Okay. So now you've got who you're writing the check to, paid to the order of. And this needs to be specific here. So it needs to be a full company name, or if you wanted to write me a check, which of course everyone's welcome to do, of course, right? And if we were in class, you'd be writing me a check today. We'd be very silly and pretend that you were buying your grades, which I shouldn't videotape, but oh well, I guess I just did. So you would write Rachel McGloshin, not Mrs. McGloshin, but you would write Rachel, full name Rachel McGloshin. This is where the dollar amount goes. So you would write this in actual dollars. So if you wanted to write a check for $14.20, then you would write that dollar amount in there. Okay. On this line here, this big, long, open line, this is where you write out the dollar amount in words. This is where you get to go back to that 2nd grade skill where you learned to write numbers in words, and you write them out here. So I would write the words 14, but you don't actually write the word dollars because dollars comes there. So I would write, let's see what I would write here. I would write 14 and I had 20 cents. And now I make this as a fraction, 20 over 100. And then you make a line all the way to the end. So this line is where you write it in full, words. So when you're writing your checks and you're choosing some amounts, I would choose some amounts that are kind of complicated. $596.43, right? If I were writing 0 cents here, you could write 00 over 100. I tend to write XX over 100 because that's what my mom does. So you can ask your family how they write that. If I were writing this check and I wanted to note that this was for buying brownies at a bake sale or something, then I would write here brownies, bake sale. If it was to the electric company, then I would write the account number of my, if you look on the electric bill. So ask your adults to show you some bills and you'll see an account number. And generally, if you're sending a check to pay for something, then you write the account number on there so that when the electric company receives the check, they just type in that account number rather than having to search for your account using your name. Because what if somebody has the same name? Okay, probably not the same address, but could have the same name. Down here is where you sign, right? Have fun signing your checks today. I just wanted to show you that at the bottom left of a check, and if you ask your family members to show you their checks, you'll see that there's a number on the left separated on the bottom by a number on the right. The number on the left is called the bank routing number, and that is the number that, like all the banks in the world, that is the number that indicates that specific bank. So it's like the bank's world banking account number. And then the checking account number is on the right. So it's a little bit, it's not quite over in this far on mine, but it's on the right, and this is the account number that goes specifically to the account holder's checking account. So if this were really one of my checks, then that number says, in this particular bank, this is my checking account number. Okay? So have fun writing checks, write some crazy ones. The way to check your checks, the way to check that they're done correctly is to get an adult to check them, okay? So you will, who knows if when you're an adult you'll have checks to write, but hopefully this is kind of fun today, all right? Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.